Bill Johnson, the former Kraft Heinz CEO, with us right now. You know, Bill, your old home reported earnings early in the week and kind of was saying, this has been the wind at their back as well. They're able to pass along those higher prices, but with the caution that they can still do so. How long do you suspect that lasts?
Oh, Neil, it's transitory. Don't you listen? I mean, this thing is going to go away any moment. In fact, I heard Janet Yellen double down on that this morning. She said, well, transitory is not a couple of months, but probably still the right word to use. My own perspective is we're at an inflection point for 2022 as well. There are a lot of price increases still to come, Neil, particularly in the consumer products area. I'm chairman of a food company we just took public in the last couple of weeks. Just completed 2 days of board meetings, and literally the topic du jour for each day was inflation. You've got supply chain issues. They're not going away no matter what anyone's telling you. You've got significant labor issues, and the fact that the labor participation rate has declined to the level it has, and we're still having labor issues, and people are having to pay up for labor, and energy prices, by the way, are up, and we're going to have to import more oil to boot. None of this is going to go away short term, and it just astounds me. I listen to economists. I now have a lot more faith in weather people than I do in economists.
Oh, good, because we've got an app for that. But let me, before I digress, Janet Yellen also said that spending bills that are being debated right now will actually be anti-inflationary, that they're actually going to lower key costs. What did you think of that?
Yeah, I used to read Dr. Seuss to my kids and to my grandkids, and I think we're in Dr. Seuss land right now. I mean, the reality is, Neil, when the leader of the biggest country, the freest country in the world, throws around the word free, which is the most powerful word in marketing and apparently the most powerful word in politics, and also, by the way, in socialist countries, I get very concerned. There is no way, I don't care what economists are saying, there is no way that as you increase spending on top of $28 trillion in debt with currently low interest rates, which are eventually going to have to move, that it's not going to be inflationary. I mean, it's just the basic economics and math don't make sense. And one of the things that's been annoying to me is to watch the business community sort of fall in line with this and salute and say, yes, it's just going to be transitory and we'll work through it. Again, I can tell you that the worst of pricing is yet to come, particularly in grocery shelves, and I suspect the same thing is true in energy. And so the trickle-down effect we used to think is a positive in terms of economics is going to be a trickle-up effect in terms of the impact of inflation on everyone's pocketbook.
You know, Bill, I have a slightly different take on that, and maybe owing to the market's strength, surprising strength, through all of this. This idea that for now people are paying those higher prices, right? One of the things you hear from companies like your own in the days when you were running it, now Kraft saying, that this is kind of happening, that people are paying these higher prices. McDonald's able to pass along higher prices, Chipotle and all, and people will pay them. And I always argue that inflation ends when people stop doing that. They're not stopping doing that. What does that tell you?
Well, there's a couple of things at work here, Neil, and one of them is very important that people are overlooking, and that is for the first time in probably 3 or 4 decades, the consumer industry has price leverage. We haven't had it in a long time. Price increases were like pulling teeth in terms of getting them past through retailers. Right. But the retailers are feeling the pain and the angst we are as well. So getting price increases through so far has been pretty good. Secondly, I think consumers up to a point, and particularly during the holidays, will spend the increment that's required to necessarily buy the products they're interested in. That will end. Private label will come back. Private branding will come back in a bigger way. The retailers are going to get tired of accepting price increases because fundamentally they take the brunt of the consumer accusations about pricing up. And so I think this will last for a while, and I think the industry itself will be able to pass some of this on. But if you look at most of the reports, while revenue is still pretty good, margins are contracting. And ultimately, those margins contracting means other things are going to have to contract as well, whether it's the workforce, whether it's supply, whether it's number of SKUs on the shelf. So, I hear everyone out there preaching the gospel of optimism, but I've just been through this too many times to not be concerned. And that's why I said at the outset, I think this is an inflection point as it pertains to 2022. So my own view is I don't think we've seen the worst. I do think ultimately we'll see some consumer pushback. And if we can't solve these labor problems over the next 6 to 9 months, I don't think the supply chain issues are going to go away either.
You know, you mentioned labor problems real quickly while I have you then. You know that Starbucks wants to raise rates to at least $17 an hour. Now, obviously, Starbucks is under some pressure today on that news. You have to sell a lot of coffee. And I know that's an expensive place for coffee. It costs, what, $100 a cup or something? But that aside, you're going to have to sell a hell of a lot of coffee to pay for that, aren't you?
You are going to have to sell a lot of coffee, and it's the same thing across the board, Neil. That's why I start to chuckle when people talk about the $15 minimum wage. I think right now industry would love to get away with a $15 minimum wage. I mean, the reality is, you know, we have a home in Naples, we have a home in Jackson Hole. Walk down the streets in any of these places, and there are help wanted signs everywhere. People are desperate for employees, and so ultimately that'll have an impact on business and its success. It'll have to be passed on, so inflation will continue for a while. But ultimately, Neil, people do get tired of it. And there will be a reaction. You know, I'm old enough, you're not, but I'm old enough to remember the 70s when this all turned into stagflation. 2% GDP growth was not exactly encouraging to me. I do think it's a one-off, but we'll see. But if that were to stay along with this inflation, we bring back the old misery index and the old terms of stagflation, and those would be a real issue for us to address.
Of course, if you're in Naples, a lot of the time, they don't mind the price increases. They can handle it, right?
Well, would you tell that to my wife of 48 years?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's, as I said, if every economist in the country were required to walk down grocery aisles or through department stores, or go in and buy a cup of coffee instead of sending someone to get it, I think a lot of this stuff might go away over time, and the word transitory would certainly be shelved quickly. I mean, every time I hear that word, I literally burst into laughter.
Yeah, there's nothing transitory about what's happening right now. Thank you, my friend. Very good catching up with you. Bill Johnson,